What the fish? Welcome to the Fish Perspective Podcast. These are our guidelines.
Our first guideline is the talking piece. If you have the talking piece, you can talk. But if you don't have the talking piece, you should be actively listening. Our talking piece is a fish with one eye.
Our next guideline is confidentiality, of course, but given the context of, we're filming and we're putting it on the internet, it's not going to be as confidential, but we'll treat it as such. We're going to have an epic circle.
Our third guideline is that passing is okay because every great circle needs an even greater listener.
Our next guideline is sequence, and it's very important that everybody has their voices heard in the sequence.
Our last guideline is that there's no name dropping allowed in circle because we want everyone to be able to protect themselves if something not positive is being said about them.
Welcome back to the Fish Podcast. We have a couple new guests today, so we're going to pass around and you're going to say your name and you're going to answer the first question of what's more important, friends or family?
Okay, so I'm Zoe. So I think it depends on the situation, honestly. I think family and friends are both important depending on how you're looking at it. Family, you'll always come home to them at the end of the day and be with them, talk about your problems. I mean, you do that with your friends too, but they go home to their families too. So I think that family, you'll always have friends, but they come and go. They're not always there for every chapter. So you spend as much time with both of them as you can and make the most of your time with everyone that you're around.
Yeah, I'm Skylar. Shocker. Yep. I've only been here for every episode. Anyways, I was going to say something very similar to Zoe, but I think my answer is going to be family because certain friends become family. After a long enough time, they are no longer being seen as friends. They are a part of the family. Your family knows them, your family loves them, accepts them as one of their own, and so I feel, each friends and family serve different purposes. They're not supposed to be compared, I think. In my brain, family is your rock. It's what you go home to every day. That's your family. They're there to give you that life advice. They're there to be your support system, but your friends are there also to be a support system, but a different kind. They are with you on the day-to-day when your family isn't. They're there when, you're going through a bad breakup and you need someone to cry and eat ice cream with at the end of the night, but your family might be there as well, but friends will always be my first call. I don't know about that, but my first call.
I'm Liam, and I'm definitely a family guy. I only have, I would say, a few friends that I would consider almost family, but I have significantly more people in my family that I could see. I always look in the long term, and so I quite ambitious plans, but I plan on leaving home in a couple of years, and I imagine that when I'm on the road and when I'm lonely or whatever, I'm not going to be calling my best friend. I'm going to be calling my parents. I'm going to be calling my little sister. I'm going to be calling my grandma. She's the love of my life. Not in that way, but you know what I mean. I couldn't live without her. And so just in the long term, like what Zoe said, what you touched on, how friends come and go. Obviously most of us are seniors and friends with most of you for sure, and most of you are going to college and I am not. So that's obviously going to be a divide between us there. And, life throws curveballs all the time, but I think the family is the one who always stays in the box, and they don't step out, and they'll always be in your life. So I'm definitely a family guy.
Oh, man. I got a million thoughts about this one. Friends or family? What's funny, what's interesting about friends and family is, did I forget something? Oh, my name! Oh, shoot. I'm so intensely wrapped into this thought I've got about friends and family, and I want to keep it brief. But my name is Tom. You can call me Mr. Incredible if you want to. That sounds a little narcissistic, but when I'm with little kids, I get to play Mr. Incredible. So they like when the old Mr. Incredible comes out. So thanks. Friends or family. You know what's interesting? You know, I meet a lot of young people that don't have families. What do they say? You know, and who do we fight with the most? Our families. Isn't that crazy? I got a family member of mine, and you know, I'll keep it unnamed, but I haven't talked to this person really for about 7 or 8 years. And it's heartbreaking to me. It's tough. I think about it almost every day, especially when I hear somebody talk about one of their siblings or another family member. It always makes me reflect on that person in my life that's my family, that was one of my best friends growing up. And now they're not in my life anymore. And it's tough. So I don't know. I don't know if I can answer that one. You know, at my age, I just reflect on this, and you know, I got some people in my corner. I talked to one of my best friends in Texas yesterday, and I haven't seen him in about a year. But the guy would literally saw off his arm for me if I asked him to. I mean, he would, no doubt about it, because I've seen him do stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out, I guess. You know.
My name, you call me Elijah or Eli. My answer would probably be, I don't know, because it depends. Family, even though you, like you said, you argue with them, but at the end of the day, when you go home and you go to bed, you're still, the last people on your mind is your family. So, I mean, yeah, my answer would probably be family.
I'm Alexa. I feel like this question is really hard. I agree with everyone on a little bit. I think at the end of the day, it truly depends on how your bond is with people. Like, I have certain bonds with, like, each of my parents. Like, I'm closer with my mom on a couple things. I'm closer with my dad on a couple things. And then with my friends, like, the bond's different with all of them. But I don't remember which one of you said it, but you said something where, like, you're going home to your family, and I feel like I can talk to my friends about a lot of stuff, but in some cases I feel like I trust my mom more knowing that stuff. Like, if I was talking to, like, my mom about something, she's not going to go around and tell other people, whereas, like, sometimes with friends, even though they're, like, close to you and they're always there for you, sometimes it can get spread, and I know with my mom that will never happen. But I also still love my friends a lot, and they're always there for me, so it's kind of hard. But I feel like I'd say both. I don't know if I could pick one.
Hi, I'm Lydia. This is a very conflicted question, I feel like, because it depends on your situation. Like, not everybody has that family, like, going home to it. Not everyone has that. And I don't know, like, I feel like family and friends could be a very, like, combined term, because my family are my friends are my family. Like, it's definitely hard to answer, because, I don't know, life's complicated. Like, you don't always get the family you want. I certainly don't. Like, but yeah, like, Alexis, she's my family. I've known her since kindergarten, and yeah, like, she's also my friend. My mom, she's my friend, but she's also my family. Like, so yeah, I couldn't choose either. It's a very hard question.
I'm Ian. I'd probably say that I'm more of a family type of guy, because you always have your family, but sometimes your friends can't always be there for you. And, like, I'd agree with what you had to say. My mom is probably my best friend, so it kind of contradicts itself. Like, I couldn't live without my mom. She's helped me through so much. She's always there and provides for me, so it's like nobody can beat that, really. So friends can do some good stuff for you too, like, you know, hang out with you, or, like, you know, summer day, go to the beach, like that. But, like, you're always gonna have your family, either whether it's your dad or your mom. It's, you know.
My name is Maddie, and me personally, I was fortunate enough to end up with an amazing family, and my sister is definitely my best friend. I think I'm closer to my middle sister than I am my younger sister. She's like, I think she's 15. Yeah, she's 15 now. I can't remember because they're growing too quickly. But I love all my friends, but friends do come and go, and you can't always fully trust your friends. But I know deep down that I can fully trust my sister and my family. So for me personally, I would choose my family.
My name is Melina, and I would choose friends, but not in the way where one is more important to me than the other. But I was blessed to live in a family where all of the love I get is, it's not like I have to work for it. My parents care about me a lot. They love me a lot. Same with, I like to think most of my family does. However, because of that, I definitely work harder to maintain my friendships, and I work hard because I like to develop myself in personal growth. So I definitely work harder with my friendships. However, I believe they're both equally as important to me.
My name is JD Green. Listening to you guys, I'm sitting here thinking about recently I have made a diagram of circles inside of circles. And I've got my center circle, and I have names that I have written that are in that circle, who are the people in my life that if they were to be in an accident, be in critical condition or whatever, or I was at any risk of losing them, that it would impact me the most, would essentially derail me if I were to lose them. Outside of that circle, the bigger circle are my friends, the people that I love, care about, would do anything for, and then another circle outside of that, which are my acquaintances, of which I have very, very many. And then the last circle, the last parameter would be enemies, people that have done me very, very, very wrong, deeply. I like to keep that center circle, just a few people. I think is good, and that outer perimeter also small. I see, and I've learned so much, and I've told Tom this, I've learned more in the last 10 years of my life than I think I ever have about loyalty and friendships and family. And when the test is there for family to be family, to step up and be family, there's always that test. I see that there are names that will cross those borders and go into other categories. An example is I have a very small family, mom and dad, who both just passed away not too long ago, and my brother. I was much closer with my mom and dad than my brother was. When mom and dad got very sick and moved to Vermont and moved into a skilled nursing facility, both of them were in very, very bad shape and were dying, and my brother checked out, completely disengaged from everything, and was MIA. And I carried the burden of being with mom and dad and being that son that was still there. The family was now really the three of us now, not the four of us. The maintenance guy, the actual janitor, if you will, of that nursing home, who I was not friends with prior to all of this, he took care of both of my parents on a level that was far beyond anything that I could imagine, far better than even the LNAs that were in there doing the dirty work. This guy went far, far beyond anything that I could ever imagine. He did things that I would expect my own brother to do. We became very good friends in a short period of time over the course of a couple of years while my parents were in this nursing home. He is now my best friend. We say my best friend. Well, we can have several best friends for different reasons, but this guy his name is Chuck, and he is at the absolute core of everything. I literally feel as if he is my biological brother. And there's a few other people in that core, in that center. But the more you go through life, you're going to see there's people either going forwards or backwards. It seems like some of them stay put, but you will have friends who will become better friends, and you'll also have friends that will go the other way. They'll turn into acquaintances, and maybe even they'll go right from friend right through acquaintance and right to enemy. So for me, I say friends, and maybe part of that is my age, because now I have people in my life who are technically friends, but I consider them, it's more than I consider, I feel as though they are family, and I would literally do anything for them. So be fair to yourself with a question like this, because I think it depends on your age, how much life you've traveled through, and what your own family dynamic is. I mean, I know people who have family who is absolutely horrible to them. I know people who have had fathers and mothers who have done horrible, unspeakable things to them. So, but just because they're labeled as family, biological or otherwise, it doesn't always have to mean that much. It can mean everything, but again, it depends on who you are, what experiences you've gone through life, and be fair to yourself with answering that question. So,
I'm Addie or Addison. I don't really care which one you call me. For me, I believe that family is more important, but family does not mean that they're blood related to you. I have many people, one sitting next to me, that I could call and would do almost any, like if I asked to go to get ice cream, you best believe we're gonna go get some ice cream. But if I said I just need to talk out how I'm feeling, then we would probably still be in a Stewart's parking lot eating ice cream, but we'd be having that good conversation that I needed in that moment. And that's Zoe is my family, and I have a couple more friends that I consider family. But there's also adults that aren't, I have other mother who I absolutely adore, and without her last year, I was in a really rough shape last year, not physically, mentally, where sorry, this is hard to say because I know I'm online. I don't want to give my whole life story to everyone online, but I don't know. That's when I got diagnosed with anxiety. I knew I had anxiety, but during that time, everybody knew I had anxiety, whether they wanted to or not. Everyone knew. And there was a day where something very bad happened to my family, and I had no clue what was happening. I had to worry about my two little sisters, because if you have little siblings, they come first, no matter what. They come first. And I'm not going to let my sisters see me cry. If something bad happens, I'm going to be it's okay. Let's go get ice cream. Ice cream solves every problem. I don't care what you say. Ice cream will solve everything. But after they were calmed down, I started having a panic attack, and I started to not be able to breathe properly. And without my other mother, I would have been in a very rough position. And I had multiple panic attacks throughout this moment in my life where I was in very rough shape. And one happened in school one time, and without Zoe Corrigan, I would have been in a very, very rough spot. We were at a drama club rehearsal, and my dad called me because I had to go home and help with my family and stuff. And I freaked out. It was bad. It's kind of embarrassing to talk about, but like I know it's like part of life, and like everything happens and stuff, and I'm not usually one just to like freak out and cry. Like, it's not always that for me. But then it happened again in basketball, and I'm like, I'm never like this, like ever. And I just sat there and I cried in this little ball, and I was so like ashamed of myself. But my teammates were there, and they just hugged me, and I knew I had family no matter where I went. Sorry, it's been kind of a long day. So I'm just a little in my head right now. But I just appreciate everyone so much that I know wherever I go, I'll always have someone, and I'm very fortunate in that fact where even though I have people right next to me where I can call them, I also have people in Lewis and E-Town, and some people don't even know, did you know there's a place called New Russia? It's right by E-Town, right by Lewis. Well, my dad was there one time during this situation, and everyone looked at my mom like she was crazy. Like, no, honey, you must have hit your head pretty hard. Like, there's a place called New Russia. Like, I swear to you, there is a place called New Russia. And I grew up in these small towns, and I have people there. Like, I have people literally everywhere. I have people in Albany, and I just know that if I ever needed something, I could call these people, and they would stop whatever they're doing. I might not always agree with them, but I will always be supported by them. And I think that's what makes a family, is who will support you even when you can't breathe on your own because you just need someone to help you stand up, or you need ice cream. I'm talking about ice cream a lot. I really want ice cream. I'm so sorry that I keep talking about it. Or that like you just need that extra push to finish through with something. I know if I didn't have my mom with me, I see her every single day. She works here, and I think I stopped by second period just to give her a hug because I wanted to give my mom a hug. Like, if without my mom, I would be in a hole crying. And I'm not even being dramatic. I would be crying in a hole somewhere because my mom is my rock. My sisters are my rock. I'll say my head hurts, and my littlest sister will come over and be like, "It's okay, baby, it's okay." Mm-hmm. And I just think it's like, I know I have all these people because they all support me there in my family. That was really long, but I think I got my point across.
Hey, your mom's lucky.
Okay, we're gonna go out of sequence for a second because I just want to say and give a shout out to Tad Wilder over in Vermont. Following from our previous podcast that we were on with Mr. Green, Mr. JD Green, we discovered that Tad helped out Mr. Green and got him here to be able to come over and talk to us, and we're so grateful. I say that on behalf of our Fish Perspective podcast, but also, like, I can't speak for them when I say this, but it touched me deep when I heard that people from out of the state who don't know us personally but know about us. It's a big deal that when we hear things like that, and just want to say thank you so much for your support.
Okay, so we're going to go to our second question, which is, should second chances be a thing, or should everyone only get one chance?
Oh, snap, we're going this way. Okay. I think it depends. Because if someone, I don't know, forgets to tell you, I don't know, they forgot to do their homework, okay, give them a second chance. Like, it's not that deep. But if it's something that could be hurtful to you or to someone else, that's when you're like, hold the brakes, buddy. Like, come on. Like, can we talk it out? And then depending on where their mind was and how their mindset was or whatever, that's when you're like, I don't know about this because I know I'm very blunt, as some people may know, and I sometimes don't care how actually no, that's a lie. I care very much about how people react to something, so much so that I will overthink every single situation. I think my mind is about 10 steps ahead of what is actually happening, and I don't even realize it's happening because it's all behind the scenes and yada yada. But second chances to me are a gift. And if you're not going to gracefully take this gift and say thank you, then you don't mean your apology. So I think you need to be grateful that you get a second chance, and that you are going to actually take the second chance and reflect on why you needed a second chance so badly. Because if it's because you didn't give me my homework back, I'm gonna be mad because I'm very academically yes, thank you. I don't know what that was, but it was that. It was something. But it's a gift, so take it and say thank you and be kind.
I didn't know the microphone was coming to me right now, so I think when I heard this question, ask yourself if you can answer the question immediately, or if you need time to think about it. Like that first question, I had to think about it a little bit. This second question, I knew my answer immediately, which is pro second chances. And I feel that way for a couple of different reasons. I mean, of course, I think about my 10-year-old daughter who sometimes needs second and maybe even third chances, or even fourth chances, because the first mistake, even if it's being repeated, she's still learning. How did she make that mistake? What circumstances fell in place that helped her make that mistake? What to look for next so that she can do better next time. And I'm pro second chances. I think the older that you get, the wiser you become. If you're still making the same repetitive bad chance, it's a little harsher in later in life. Maybe it's finances or a credit card bill or whatever. You forgot to pay your credit card bill, so your 0% APR now just got bumped to 29%, and that's the way it's going to be going forward because you screwed up once, and you forgot to make your payment on time. So you call that credit card company. Do I sound like I know what I'm talking about right now? And explain to them, I understand, I paid late. Here's why. I got in a car accident today, believe it or not. Or, I got some bad news and I'm distracted or whatever. Can you give me a second chance? You're probably not going to get that second chance. They don't care what your excuse is. So stuff like that, you learn the hard way, and learning the hard way is often the best way to learn, but I think second chances are important, and I think we should all make a decision about who and in what circumstance we give second chances to others, whether it's a friend that's kind of done you wrong or any situation. You all should make a decision of who you're going to give a second chance to, and make sure you know why you're deciding that. That's my take.
I 100% believe in second chances. However, I really feel like with me, it depends on how much I depend on that person, because I really don't think there's a single person in my life who I wouldn't give a second chance. However, people I depend on less, and this is kind of a hot take, I would probably give them a million chances, because when it comes down to it, people could be fun. I could enjoy being around people, but I don't really need them. However, if it's someone that I depend on a lot, I never want to be in a situation where I think I have the support that I need and then I end up not having it. So if it's someone I depend on a lot, I'm very less likely to give more chances. However, I'm pro a lot of chances. It really depends on the situation.
So, for me, when I heard this question, I thought of myself. Around 2 years ago, I'm like surprised that a lot of people gave me second chances because I was the person who would always mess something up. I was in a bad spot and I just wasn't there. So the people that I was friends with, they gave me second chances, and I'm thankful for that, because without them giving me a second chance, I wouldn't be the person that I am right now. Because they taught me that you don't need to stay in dark places. There is like a way out.
Okay, so I definitely do believe in second chances because I've gotten many of them. So to say I didn't would be kind of, but it kind of depends on what you're getting a second chance on, whether it be like a monumental bad thing, or if it's like some like little thing like, oh, I forgot to do the dishes, like I feel like just giving second chances is a way that people can take advantage of you as a person and really get benefits out of it while leaving you nothing. So for an instance, like if somebody like borrows money from you and they don't pay you back and you ask for it and then it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have it right now, and like, you give them a second chance. That's fine, I guess, until it keeps on happening, and then it's like, you don't need another chance after that. It's kind of just cut out. It's like doing chores at your house for your parents or something, like garbage or dishes. Like, you're gonna forget more than once, and your parents aren't gonna like disown you because you forgot to take out the garbage. It's kind of my take on that.
When I heard this, I automatically knew my answer. I strongly believe in second chances. I am a big forgiver, no matter what. Like, doesn't matter how much you hurt me, I will end up giving you a second chance because I believe people change. And it's something I stick by, like, no matter what. Like, for example, most people know, it's common knowledge. At the beginning of my senior year, I was cut from a sport I loved my entire life. I was cut from soccer. I played it my entire life and this new coach cut me. And a few months ago, today, he came up to me and he was like, I hope you can forgive me. And I said, of course. Like, I can't bring myself to be upset at people and for what they do, because I know there's always something going on that may cause it. And there's oftentimes an answer for most things. And I feel like people sometimes they deserve a second chance, even if they didn't make it seem like they do. Maybe that will make them change into making people not want to give them a second chance. That's just how I feel about it. Like, I don't know. Everyone deserves a second chance, no matter what they do.
Okay, let's see if I can answer. I had like so many things bouncing around in my head while people were talking, and I'm a little scared I won't remember it all, but I do believe in second chances. I love to put myself in other people's shoes. Like, whenever I'm in like a situation, I always reflect on like things I've gone through that may be similar to what they're doing. Like, if someone does me wrong, I think about past times where I've done something similar to that, and I like to see it from both sides, like my own side in the moment and then my side in the past. So I feel like a lot of times I do give second chances because a lot of the times I've been in their shoes and I feel like I understand where they're coming from. But at the same time, I feel like sometimes you don't really learn when you get a second chance. Like, I've made mistakes and I've gotten in trouble for them, and I feel like I've learned more from the times I've been like punished for my mistake rather than getting a second chance. Like, it's good to get second chances, but if you make a mistake again, I think you also need to, like, get told what you're doing is not okay, and you need to, like, lock in and fix what you're doing. And I don't know, I think I've learned a lot more from that. Like, if I'm late to something and I missed the bus for track one time, that sucked, and I had to drive myself there, and I learned from that, and I wasn't, like, late to the bus ever again. Like, you learn more from, like, not getting your second chance, I feel like, or getting in trouble, like, if you mess up your second chance.
When I heard this question, I thought about it. When we were going around, I was like, you know what? Second chances, it depends. If it's like something that damages you and puts you down, I don't think they should get a second chance. Unless they think about it and they truly apologize and, like, mean it and, like, show that they care, then maybe. But if I put myself in their shoes, most of the time I'd like a second chance. So I'm thinking, if I want a second chance, if they're asking for a second chance, I'm not gonna tell them something no to that I want to do. It's just equally, can't think of the word, equally, yeah, equally appreciated.
Wow. Amazing. Some of the answers. Hey, thanks for being so brave. I know sometimes it doesn't feel that way, but man, it feels good when somebody gives you a second chance when you don't feel like you deserve it. I think that's probably one of the hardest parts, is when you don't feel like you deserve it, even though you might want one, but you don't feel like you're good enough to have one. You know, I told y'all I have a son too, but I'm mostly a girl dad, now a woman dad. I think about this a lot because, you know, every issue that my daughters have is because of me. Like 100% of them are because of me. Dad, not mom, dad. And, you know, I don't remember one stupid thing that my girls did. They're all older now. My youngest daughter's like 23. And I don't remember one stupid thing that they ever did. But they remember everything that I made them feel bad for. Like, none of it ever really mattered, all the stupid stuff they did, but they held it against themselves. How they disappointed me, how they didn't make me proud. You know, and I really don't remember any of it. That was powerful what you said to both of you. Both of you, some powerful stuff there. I'll give you my little take on second chances, and I was just talking about a family member that I've had a difficult relationship with the last 7 or 8 years of my life, and I learned this from a student because we were talking about forgiveness. And this is a powerful lesson for me. And what I learned about forgiveness is, you know, sometimes we think it's hard to ask for forgiveness, but I think it's actually harder to let things go because you can't hold it over that person's head anymore. And even when you say you forgive someone, have you really? That's kind of what I ran into myself, and it was funny because I was going back through some old text messages from 6, 7, 8 years ago. And I found these messages that I was holding on to just in case they did me wrong again. Like, these are people I said I've forgiven for something they did to me, and this one family member. And I thought, I went around telling everybody that I forgave them. Why am I still holding this text message? And then I started going back through old voicemails and stuff, and I found some that were like 10 years old, and I was just holding them in case they did me wrong again. And these were people that I said I forgave. I was gonna give them a second chance. Why am I holding on to that stuff? And it was one of the most empowering things I ever did in my entire life. I deleted all those messages permanently because I just realized it's harder to actually forgive someone and give them that second chance Even though it feels like it's harder to ask for a second chance, I think it's actually harder to give people second chances, because I'll kind of land on this. I'm a big allegorical fan. I like guys like C.S. Lewis, G.K. Chesterton. And one of Lewis's idols was a guy named George MacDonald. And he said, to be trusted is a greater compliment than to be loved. To be trusted is a greater compliment than to be loved. And the first time I heard that, I'm like, no. Love is the supreme ethic. But he'll shake his head quick. But some of you will too. Anybody got a family member in here that they love to pieces, but they don't trust? It's interesting, isn't it? How powerful trust is. And once you've lost it, man, it's almost impossible to get it back, even when you say you're going to. So, I don't know. Man, that was good.
Yeah, most of you pretty much struck on what I was trying to get at. But I also have some different takes as well. I like to think I generally maintain a open and bubbly kind of personality. Some call me squirrely. But, sometimes I'm certainly not that way. Sometimes I could be in my head and I could hold grudges. And I know grudge holding is not a good thing to do at all. And so I guess that kind of goes in line with second chances, but it really depends. And what I thought of was trust. If I could trust this person to do whatever and they break that, I don't know. It's not real. I don't see it as a grudge. I don't see it as, you did this, I'm never going to forgive you for it. But it's just like, I'm just not going to have that same amount of trust. Like, it's like exponential decay. Like, every time you break that trust, there's half of it gone. There's half of it. But if you really love somebody and you really trust somebody, it will never fully be gone. And this very philosophical and very abstract, but for most circumstances, second chances are a blessing for certain, and I believe they should definitely be taken. But I feel like the person that gives you the most second chances are yourself. I feel like the one person that could truly give you the most second chances and the most forgiving attitude is yourself. I'll take this just on one analogy, my personal analogy. I had my first Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament. I'm sure you're familiar with that. It was a few months ago, and I'm training for my blue belt. But I had this one gentleman in my division. He was a little bigger than me, a little older than me. Really, really beautiful guy. I don't mean it that way, but he was a beautiful, beautiful human being. He treated me perfect, even though he had me in all these locks and everything. I didn't hold a grudge against him. I appraised him. I appraised him for having good showmanship and being good at what he does. But I also could have got down on myself. Oh, I gave him this position. I gave him these points. I let him, grab my arm and put me in an arm bar or whatever. But it's just like, no, you can't think about that. You gotta forget about the losses and you gotta focus on the future wins. Because, also in line with jiu-jitsu, down in Saratoga in our main school, I train with Alliance, and we have this big plaque on the wall. It's not even really a plaque, it's just letters, big letters. And they say, in jiu-jitsu, you can either win or you can learn. And I feel like if we really take that into account, there almost is no such thing as second chances. Because if somebody does something really vile to you, okay, they may not deserve a second chance, but you learn from it. You don't remember, hey, I gave that person a second chance, I'm a good person. You take whatever lesson that was from, and it could be very, very differing and complex. You take whatever that person did and whatever you could draw from that, you learn and you instill it in your spirit and your heart, and you never forget about it. And I believe that's the best thing you could do for yourself and that person, because that eliminates, like I said, grudges. Grudges are horrible. Any sort of resentment or hate, that just gets all filed into one positive motion, and it just keeps chugging. And some people might try to derail you. Some people might try to be your enemies, and they may not deserve a second chance for whatever it is. But you always give the second chance to yourself, and you always prioritize learning from whatever has happened. and I could go on and on about this. Very, like, it's complex. It really is. There's so many, like, we've seen them here in the circle. This is why this is awesome. We've seen so many perspectives, but they're all unified in one, grander, thought process. And it's wonderful to explore that. So thank you all for your contributions.
Okay. Oh my gosh, this question is. I spent the whole time just listening and not even thinking about my answer. So now I'm here and I have to try to wordsmith something together. But my answer is like everybody's answer put together, but in my own kind of way. Like, I'm trying not to repeat what anybody has already said, but I feel human beings that it's impossible not to make mistakes. It's inevitable. Humans are going to screw up. Whether it's a big screw up, a little screw up, you forget to take out the garbage, oh well, slap on the wrist, your parents scold you a little bit, but then you get over it and you move on. Or it could be in terms of like a friendship. You're not friends with this person anymore because they hurt you in some way. But like Liam said, there's lessons to be learned, and that's almost the beauty in it. Like, yeah, it sucks. It sucks to get your trust broken, which is kind of the thread between everything. What we've talked about right now, we're talking about trust. We're talking about having our trust broken. How can we, give people a second chance when they've broken our trust? And that's hard. Well, because from then on, you're just going to look at that person and think of what they did wrong to you. And I don't know if I would say it's harder to give or receive trust, but for me, giving is hard. But at the same time, you have to remember, we're all living this one life. It's our first go at it, Nobody is perfect. Mistakes. But yeah, it's how you gracefully move on from the situation. If you're the give or the receive end, you have to take it and be a good person. Okay, moving on to the next question about trust. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
My bad, Zoe.
It's okay. Okay, I'll try and make mine quick, but I feel like life is not perfect. It's not made to be perfect. Life is always made, you always make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes every day, whether or not you realize it. And you just have to reflect on things, and every day, some days can be harder than others. And, I think that second chances are a good thing for people to have, but you have to reflect and learn things too from it. And even if the situation is bad, if it's with a friend or something, you should still hold a piece in your heart for them, no matter what. Even if things are not good at the moment, but still hold a piece of them in your heart for whenever, because you still cared about them. So not everything about them is bad. So I think that's an important thing to remember, that everyone's living their first life. So you sometimes have to.
Don't look at me.
You sometimes have to let things go and still keep some kind of positive in the situation, even if it's hard to see in the moment.
Okay, so trust. Trust is the thing that connects us all. And so for our next question, it's going to be, how can someone gain or lose your trust? It's a loaded question. I know there's so many different ways you can go with it, but how are ways people can gain or lose your trust?
I'll hit the gain part first. People can gain my trust by not conforming, being truly themselves. Expressing themselves is really important, because if nobody expresses their true self, and they're just materialistic and they conform to whatever their buddies think, that's not them. That's their buddies. So it's how could you trust a whole, you can trust a whole group of people, because obviously, just amongst the hosts, I obviously trust you gals to, deliver the questions and, have good responses, and I trust that. We've been doing this forever now, so I trust that for sure. And this what is also the part of expression. And, during regular circle when there's not 4 cameras around. That's what it's all about. It's having the power to be vulnerable. That gained my trust. If I see that you're vulnerable and you're expressing yourself, you gain my trust almost instantly right there. That's what it's all about. It's about expressing. It's about being confident about something you couldn't imagine yourself being confident in or doing. And people could lose my trust, or a lot of people's trust, just as easily. Like I was kind of getting at before, if they're not really themselves, if they don't, I don't want to say prioritize, but if they don't listen to themselves more than they do their others, their friends or their family or what have you, it's going to be hard to trust them, because that's not you and that's not them, especially if you've known them for some time and you know how they think, or what they really like to do. But obviously we've touched on this, people change. It's guaranteed. And if you don't change, you're doing something wrong, because if you never change, you never grow. And if you never grow, you'll never lead a joyous, prosperous, influential life, life filled with trust, both receiving and giving trust. That's also another point I would like to see. To gain trust, I got to see that you're willing to trust people. Or to lose trust is when I see that you're not willing to trust other people. It's very interesting. Like, I definitely see how people are, like you said, the loaded question, they can take it multiple different avenues. So I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, this one's way too philosophical. I can't come up with an answer. It's so hard even at my age, because, oh man, I don't even know how to answer this question, because I think you got to trust yourself first, is kind of cliche-ish as that sounds. But I don't feel like I trust myself, as weird as that sounds. I put all these parameters in my life because I don't trust myself, and I don't want to go ramble on about what that means and what I don't trust myself about, but I play this game in my head all the time, with, am I really being genuine to that person, or am I doing it because I want something? It's a battle I have my entire life. Circle for me is my favorite place in the world. I do about 500 of these a year. And my perspective, I don't know if it ever really changes, but it gets reoriented all the time. I like to inhabit other people's perspectives. I see myself as like my soul getting up and going and sitting in the person's lap and just conforming to them. And man, this has helped me build a different level of trust with people, because as I inhabit someone else's perspective, I get to kind of see where they're coming from. Because a lot of times, as I battle this trust in my own heart, in my own soul, I realize that that person's in a completely different world than I'm in. And I've made judgments on who they are and what they are and why they do what they do, but I'm not inside their world. Parents haven't been through a divorce. I didn't have a sister that died. I didn't have, lose a child. Didn't have a parent that abused me. So a lot of those things just factor into this whole trust model, because I think you got to have a different level of trust with every person that you meet. But ultimately, when you don't trust, I don't know, I think it has more to do with you than it does. And the word listening just keeps rattling in my head back and forth. It's the most important thing in the world to me, is to start listening and to stop talking to people. I was showing, JD forgot his wallet today, and I got the greatest wallet on planet Earth right here. It's a custom wallet, so I had to have it made. But, and yeah, I love Spider-Man. He's the #1 superhero. Yeah, that's you? Yeah. Well, he's the #1 superhero. It took me a long time to figure out why. It's because he's a kid. He's a young adult. And they say some pretty awesome things if you just shut your mouth and listen, like I'm sitting here listening to all of you. And all the older superheroes treat him like he's a kid. And that's their foolishness. because he's got some pretty phenomenal things to say. And I actually had this printed on my wallet, right? The word listen. Because I just realized that I learn more from young people than, young people have this, I'll land on this, young people have this incredible trust for their friends. And I like to kind of tie questions together. And you talk about your friends. And they become the most important people in your life at a certain age. For some kids, young people, they become more important than their own families for certain degrees, right? You know, trust your friend over your sister at one point, or over a parent. And because I just realized that friends listen. They listen a heck of a lot better than family. And I don't know, that's, if I had to wrap it up into one word when it comes to trust, it's just listen to someone. You know, and you're giving them a gift, because it just feels good to be heard. When in our world today, not many people are heard, right? We run right over them. So I don't know. I still can't answer the question. It's too difficult for me, even at my age.
So, I mean, yeah, I can't really answer the question, but like, you can like gain, I feel like there's multiple ways that you can gain somebody's trust, and then you can, like, in reverse, you can like lose it and like, I don't know.
I think for me, I have different like levels and boxes for trust. Like, when it comes to trust, I feel like there's different types. Like, trusting someone with my secrets is a bit different than trusting them not to lie to me. And there's definitely levels. Like, I think right now in my life, I have 2 or 3 people I trust about like 97, 98%. I don't think I'll ever trust someone 100%. That I don't know. I just don't think I could ever trust someone that much. And I also have a hard time like trusting people that high of a level. I almost never trust people with my secrets. I will always keep that to myself. I only trust myself with my secrets. I think 2 people I would tell my secrets, and I wouldn't tell them all of them, but I could tell them a good amount of them, and I would trust them not to break that and tell other people. And with lying, I feel like that's hard because sometimes I lie too. I don't like lie to hurt people, but I lie to protect myself. So that's why when it comes to lying, sometimes when people lie to me, I can respect why they would. And like, while it does kind of break your trust a little bit, I can also understand that maybe they were scared that I would view them differently if they told me the truth rather than they lied to me to mask what really happened. So I grasp that. It's just really hard. It's hard to trust. It's hard to forgive. Everything's so hard these days. So I guess, I don't know.
Geez, these are some hardcore questions. I feel like there's no right and wrong answer to this. I feel like it connects a lot with the last question. Like, you have to have some form of trust. Like, if you aren't willing to trust people, I feel like that's more of an internal fear. Like, I feel like trust just connects with fear a lot. I think the inability to trust someone is just off internal fear. Like, it's easy to gain my trust because, like I said from the last question, second chances, change, like it's all something people deserve. And one thing I live by is that you cannot put all your effort into the past that will never change. Like, you can, because you are wasting the present and future by always stressing about something that is set in stone. It's never going to change. And it's not just saying forget about it, but it's saying make it a part of you, but also letting it go at the same time. It's like Liam had said, learning experiences. Like, you take something from it without putting all your effort into something. Like, I don't know, but yeah, like I said, if you can't trust someone, then I feel like it's an internal thing. But again, it is easy to lose trust at the same time. Trust is a very hard thing. Super easy to lose, super hard to gain. But, I think everyone needs at least some level of trust. And I feel like you could lose it without even knowing. Like, someone could do something and I'd be like, oh, it's okay, but I don't even know yet that I lost that trust for them. But like, yeah, there's so many ways to go about these type of questions.
Trust is kind of a difficult topic because there's a lot of contradicting factors to it. And there's already been a lot of really good examples of it. Like Liam, I agreed with what you said about people being true, like not being fake or showing how they truly feel is 100% the best way to gain my trust. Because if someone's not afraid to show how they are towards everybody in every different situation, I feel like that's a super trustworthy trait, because it could be applied to many different things, not just their social life or their, it could be more of their, what's the word? Internal self, you know what I mean? And also the last question kind of plays into this really well with the second chances, because if someone doesn't use their second chance wisely, that could be a way to lose trust. Second chance is kind of like the way to regain trust, but if they go against it, it's, that's one way to lose trust. And losing trust is just as easy as gaining trust, in my opinion, because it could be one thing that really changes your mind on someone and has you gain, or it has you, whatever the word is, gain trust for somebody, or they could do something that could just as easily make you be like, oh, this person is, not too trustworthy anymore. But trust is just a very, very big thing when it comes to social lives, in my opinion. That's what I base my school life off of, my friends, my teachers, my relationships, whether it be family, a romantic relationship type of thing. Yeah, I don't know really what else to say that hasn't been touched upon, but I agree a lot with everything that's been said.
Okay, so for me to gain my trust, I agree with Liam, you need to be vulnerable. I like seeing people who are vulnerable. But also, I need you to not be afraid to hurt my feelings. I need you to tell me when I'm doing something wrong. Or hey, do I look bad in this? Yeah, you do. I don't need you to be like, no, you look amazing, and I have my hair sticking up. No, I want you to tell me if I ask you something, I know for sure. Or if I, or if I'm doing something wrong and I don't see it, I need that person to be like, hey, you kind of need to chill out type thing. And that will make me gain your trust when I see that you care for me like that.
This is definitely a tough one for me because I feel like I've been both an observer and a player in a lot of situations, because just growing up, I've had to learn a lot of different perspectives, because obviously I'm biracial, so I have families from all over the world, from all different races, all different cultures. And I've also, even with cheer, I spent half my seasons as captain, half my seasons as a player. So I think that it's really a learned experience for me to be a really analytical thinker. And even now, because I spend most of my time on this podcast on the outside taking pictures, just subconsciously, I'm thinking which cameras are on and which direction. I'm just such an analytical thinker that when I see someone else thinking the same as me and looking at the big picture like I do, I'm more likely to trust them. And I could be friends with someone even if they don't think like that. But I could love someone to death and not completely trust them. But it's just with me, the shared thought process of analyzation specifically is what really makes me trust people, because if they think like I do, then I could at least understand them and I'm more likely to have a better understanding of them. However, I lose trust very fast if I can realize that someone's doing something just to appeal to me, because like I said, I like to look at the full picture, and if I'm noticing that people are doing things just to get me on their side, I'm very less likely to trust them for sure.
Wow. You know, we all know what we know about Tom. Tom's a good guy. Comes here all the time, has a fantastic organization. Tom is an easy guy to trust. So how surprised would you be if you were walking out in the parking lot, getting ready to leave school, and Tom pulled you aside and said, "Hey, I got to tell you something, but it's really private. Can I trust you?" "Yeah, sure, Tom, of course. I robbed a bank on the way over here this morning. Please don't ever tell anybody, you know. But if you see the cops around here, they're probably looking for me because I robbed a bank." So, you just promised to him that you wouldn't tell anyone, and Tom asked you, "I got to tell you something. Can I trust you?" So, do you think of this as, oh yeah, Tom walks away, now I have this information, he just robbed a bank. Are you gonna say to yourself, yeah, I'm never gonna tell anybody except my wife when I get home, because I tell her everything and I trust her. I trust that she won't say anything, or I'm not going to say anything to anybody except my best friend, who I trust. They're not going to tell anybody. That's where trust can get sticky and complicated when it gets layered up like that. I had a general manager at a radio station one time, and I'll never forget this. I'm sure he's forgotten this, but he said to me one day, literally, I will never forget this. He said, "I don't trust anyone except myself." And the sooner you realize that, or the sooner you learn that, the better off you will be. My father always called me a sucker. My father always, I loved my dad, he was a great guy, but he always said that I was walking around with an S on my forehead for sucker, because I was too trusting of people. My dad was, I believe, very right in so many ways now in hindsight, because every time where I wouldn't necessarily say every time, most times where I have exercised extreme trust toward someone or something, it has eventually proven to be something that I should not have had that amount of trust with. I had a co-host and producer of my podcast who, when I first met her, she said, "I just want to tell you right off, before we even get started, I went to prison for several years for embezzling over $100,000. And I just want you to know that I'm a felon." And me and my naturally inquisitive self, wow, tell me about what was prison like, and tell me why did you embezzle, and what were the reasons behind that, which is an amazing reason, but how did you get caught? I mean, I wanted to know all these things. We had a relationship on the air, on the podcast, and a very good friendship off the air. And I trusted her immensely. I trusted her to a level that she was my cohort. She was my right-hand man, my co-host on the podcast, and so on and so forth. To the point where even my own wife, who wasn't jealous, but was saying to me, easy does it. You know, your eyes aren't open as wide as they should be. What do you mean? I took offense to that. You know, what do you mean? You know, I know things about her. I can trust her. Blah blah blah. What I didn't know is that she was taking everything that I was teaching her. She didn't. Finances, I was dialed in tight on it for sponsorships and whatnot, but she was taking everything that I was teaching her, how to do sales, how to do live read promotions and everything, structure, technical stuff, which board, which mic, all of this stuff, and my sponsors and my relationships with those sponsors. She was taking everything and was taking notes and basically building her own podcast without me knowing about it. And one day, she sent me an email saying, I'm done. Not even face to face, but an email saying, I'm done. The next day was this big announcement of the launch of her podcast. And it was the biggest shock of my life, one of the biggest shocks. And man, at first I felt like I got burned, but then thinking about what Liam was saying, you can either win or you can learn. And it's like, I can either go through the rest of my life saying, this happened to me, or I can say this happened for me. Even though this was unfortunate, what a way to learn, what a gift. It really is a gift, even though it was unfortunate. Now I know. A business learning experience, but also a deeply personal experience that, I was just going to say, you can never trust anybody, but you can trust them until you can't. But just be very, very, very careful with what you trust and who you trust. And no matter how good that relationship might be, it's always good to kind of have an eye behind your head. I don't know. I'm sure some of you might think something when I say that, but that's just what I've learned. The older I get, the wiser I am, and I never want to make the same mistake again, ever. So be careful with who you trust.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be here. Sorry I was late. I kind of had a similar situation with trust. Not obviously to that extent, but I was very trusting. As I was growing up, I was an open book. I trusted everyone, and it kind of bit me in the back. I had a best friend who I was friends with since second grade, and she knew a lot about me, and I had trusted her with a lot of my problems and what I was going through, and she gave me that same trust back too. But one night, and we hadn't talked in a couple days because I had been sick with COVID, and I hadn't been in school really, and I was really sick, and I woke up at 4 a.m. and I had gotten a notification from one of my friends, and they had sent me a TikTok, and I look, and it's my best friend posted this TikTok about how I was a bad friend, and like she posted like a slideshow almost, and each slide had like something about how I was a bad friend, and like she kind of just blasted my problems on the internet because she was upset at me, and she had been upset at me for a while, and she never came and talked to me, and she just blasted all of that on the internet, and I was distraught after that. I didn't even know like what to do with myself, because this was my best friend who I had been friends with 10 years, and I didn't even know what to do at that moment, and I was like sobbing, and my mom came in because she heard me. It was like 4 a.m, and she came in, she watched the video, and she was upset because she thought this person was different than who it was, and it just kind of made me realize that you can't trust everyone, and you just can't tell everyone everything, like no matter what. You also never know like how someone is feeling about you either when you tell them things, like yeah.
From many different situations I have gone through, I don't trust people 9 times out of 10. And I'm gonna say lucky enough, but I don't mean it in like a mean way, but like if you are lucky enough to gain my trust, it can very easily be taken right back. I don't really care if it makes you sad when I take back, like if I don't trust you anymore, I don't really care, because you obviously did something to hurt me, and like as nice as I am, I also know when to put my foot in the ground and say, you messed up and here's why, and I'm going to tell you all of the reasons why, and then we're going to talk about it. And I don't really care if you don't want to talk about it, we're going to talk about it, because that's how life is. Like one of these days someone's not, like I was in a relationship, and I said, this just really isn't working for me, and like, do you need to know why like this is? Because maybe if we talk about it, like my problems will be resolved, and like we won't need to like end it or whatever. And they're like, no. I'm like, okay, fine. So you really don't care, for one, if you're saying no to that question, like you don't care. So if you don't want to talk about it, then you are more than welcome to leave. Like there's the door. I hope you have a nice life. And as blunt, I said I was blunt earlier, and that really shows you like the extent of how blunt I can be. But on the flip side, I feel like, you know, when you see a face, you're like, I could really punch them. Like they just have a punchable face. And I know that sounds mean, but I feel like I have a face where people just look at it and they're like, oh, I can trust them. And I know that doesn't sound humble whatsoever, but Lydia, you've said that to me about 5,000 times. You can stop making faces now. But I feel like, I know it doesn't sound humble, but I feel like almost everyone in this room has told me something, and 9 times out of 10, I forget it and I don't remember. So I feel like that could be part of the reason why they trust me so much, because they know I'll give them like a reasonable advice and just be a shoulder to like cry on or whatever. But they also might think I won't remember it 5 minutes from now, and then I won't be able to tell anyone. So honestly, if I'm a forgetful person, you can trust them for life. Like, hello? I feel like people are thinking about this all wrong. But trust is something you have to fight for. And if you're not willing to fight for it, why are you trying to be friends with them? And I feel like trust and second chances are a gift. Like, if I had to put that all in a summary, trust and second chances are a gift. Being my friend is a gift. I know it doesn't sound humble. I know it doesn't sound nice. And it makes me sound very like, oh, look at me, I'm the best person here. But that is not what I mean. But I know my worth, and I'm confident in my worth, and I'm not going to be friends with someone who's going to undermine, that's the word, right? Undermine me, and like be cruel to me, because why am I going to put myself through that? Like, why would I want someone to be mean to me? I really don't want that in my life. And freshman year, I learned that lesson a lot a lot of times, a lot of different ways too, where I need to tell people what's up, because I will stand up for any friend or any person. Would you believe me if I told you I kicked someone because they were being mean to someone? Like, would you believe that? If I told you who, you would laugh. But I'll tell you later. But they were bullying this person, and I turned around and I say, can you please stop? Like, obviously you're being mean, you're making her uncomfortable, like, just stop. I turned around and I said it 3 times, and on the 3rd time I kicked them because I told you to stop. You should have listened. Like, come on. And instead of getting in trouble, you want to know what my mom did? She got me ice cream. So, like I said, ice cream solves every problem. And you could see them yelling, buy me some ice cream, because I stood up for someone. But I just, also about the bank robbery thing, I feel like as a leader, you're a mandated reporter. And you can tell me whatever you want, but I'm going to go to the right people, because if it's going to hurt you or someone else, then I have to tell someone. Like, I don't really care what the situation is. I will give the least amount of details as I possibly can, where it's not saying everything, but it's also saying the stuff I need to say so no one's getting hurt. And I feel like a lot of people forget that, and they need to remember it. But yeah, trust, second chances, and being my friend is a gift. And you should have a trusted adult, or as much as you can trust an adult, because every single teacher you're not going to love, and everyone knows that. But I have a teacher where no one likes them a lot, but I know if I ever had a problem and someone did something to me, I could go to them and they would help me figure out the right avenues to fix this problem. And I just think we need to remember that just because everyone says, oh, Tom Murphy's a trusted adult, go to him, it doesn't mean you have to trust him with all your problems. I trust you because you're a pretty cool dude. But anywho, trust, second take, I'm just going to pass the mic because I've talked a lot, but
I feel like I try to trust people a lot, and I do, and sometimes I think I need to limit myself sometimes because I trust people too much. And I think another thing that comes with trust is being honest and truthful with yourself about how much you're actually giving to people, because if they're struggling or whatever, you need to be able to show that you're you can be there and listen and have them open up, so to show your trust to them, and hopefully maybe they'll show trust to you, and if they don't, that's fine. But sometimes you have to show trust in other ways, and sometimes in bad situations you need to be honest with yourself, I maybe shouldn't be trusting this person so much, I should maybe take a step back, evaluate the situation, and relook things, maybe see what I could do differently, or just maybe not necessarily change yourself, but maybe take yourself out of that situation that you're in. So I think that being honest with yourself and others, oh, hey, can I trust you with this information? If you feel like you can't, or maybe in the moment you don't think you can handle it, be nope, I can't do this today, I need a break today, I don't know if I'll be able to talk about something, or depending on the topic. So sometimes even just being truthful about information and stuff like that can be important with trust.
And that wraps it up, guys. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you to our listeners and watchers at home. This is our last episode for this year. Come back next year. Addie will take it over next year. But yeah, thank you, everybody. And we're done.
Circle adjourned.